This week, the HPT crowns a champion from Oklahoma at Downstream Casino Resort. The second final table of our 8th season has seen a lot of action and a lot of early knockouts. Hundreds of hopefuls sat down for day 1, and at the end of day 2, we had our TV Final 6. Fast action, a little luck, and some big plays now have us heads up for an HPT championship and the $77,000 that goes with it. A plumbing contractor and a construction worker are the two left fighting for the big money and HPT immortality. Both started this final table as the biggest stacks, and both have the championship in their sights. Who will be the last man standing? This is the HPT.
Okay, my name is Terry Presley. I live in Huntsville, Arkansas, and I'm a plumbing contractor in around Fayetteville, Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas area.
My name's Robert. I work for Apollo Retail Specialists. It's a company based out of Florida. I work all over the country for various retailers. Mostly I build storage buildings for Lowe's hardware stores.
I'm excited, really thrilled to be here. Not even nervous at all, just excited and ready to play.
Me and Terry are both from Westside Loam, so we already agreed we're going to take first and second and go back home and tell them that these guys up in Joplin, you know, they're nothing.
My biggest strategy is to be the last one, obviously. That's my biggest plan.
Of course, I'm going to take first. Even though I agreed to let him have it, it was all part of it, all part of the act.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Welcome back to the HPT in Quapaw, Oklahoma. Just outside of Joplin, Missouri, we are at Downstream Casino Resort. I'm Chris Hansen, he's Fred Bevel, and Fred, a lot of aggression already at this final table. We're already heads up.
You know, when this final table started, the average tip stack had over 35 big blinds in it, and when the cards started flying, so did the chips. Leaving us in 6th place was Garrett Smith when Robert Bratton's ace-king dominated Garrett's ace-jack. No help came for Garrett, sending him home with a little over $15,000.
And then it was Bob Hughes who left the final table in the worst way. A bad beat on the river. Bob flopped top 2 pair with King-Queen, while Terry Presley flopped top pair with King-10. Bob was ready to start stacking the chips after his apparent double-up, but a jack on the river gave Terry the straight and sent Bob home in 5th place with a little over $18,000.
And the bad luck continued for Brian Davis. He had the better hand pre-flop with King-Queen over Robert's Queen-Jack, but the flop hit Robert's hand perfectly, giving him the nut straight and giving Brian top pair. Brian went to the rail with over 24 grand in his pocket and a 4th place finish on his resume.
3rd place at this final table went to Mark Cariz. Mark's King-Jack lost the race against Robert's 8-9 after Robert flopped a pair of 9s. The turn in the river dropped bricks, sending Mark home with almost $28,000.
And then there were 2, Terry Presley, Robert Bratton. Both these guys started this final table as the big stacks, and now here they are, heads up for the HPT Championship.
All right, well, let's get to know Robert and Terry a little bit better and then get to the felt for the $76,000 conclusion of the HPT final table here at Downstream.
Okay, my name is Terry Presley. I live in Huntsville, Arkansas, and I'm a plumbing contractor in around Fayetteville, Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas area.
My name's Robert. I work for Apollo Retail Specialists. It's a company based out of Florida. I work all over the country for various retailers. Mostly I build storage buildings for Lowe's hardware stores. I started when I was, I think, 19. Casino close to home opened up. Poker, and it was 18 and up. I played there, and so I've been playing for probably about 9 years.
Probably been playing 7 or 8 years at my local casino, a lot over the last several years. I spent a little over 20 years in the Arkansas Army National Guard, and I deployed to the Persian Gulf in 91, and I also deployed to Bosnia in 96, 97.
I start a lot of projects because, I visualize things. Like I've got a RX-7 that I'm working on, putting a V8 in. Well, I bought the car and I've got the other stuff, but I haven't actually done anything with it, even though it's one of the things that I've been really wanting to do. And I've had all kinds of other stuff that I'm like, yeah, we're gonna start doing this. Make some money, whatever.
So quickly, 4 players eliminated. Heads up poker the entire night tonight on the HPT. And here's the prize money, Fred. Every decision they're making, $32,000 hangs in the balance.
Well, that's more than what I make in a year. $76,000 going to the champion, 44 and change going to the runner-up.
So here is the heads-up chip count as we continue on. 3.7 million chips for Robert. He is our chip leader. Both Robert and Terry pretty much were the only 2 chip leaders at this final table before we got to this heads-up point.
As we start heads up, Robert has about 1.2 million more in chips than Terry does.
And Robert looks down at Queen 5 offsuit.
And he's going to raise it up. Makes it $110,000 to go. Action over to Terry.
Yeah, raise.
No, that's right.
And Terry announces a raise. Boy, these guys aren't afraid to move the chips heads up. Terry has ace-queen.
So 110 was the raise, and now a re-raise has been announced by the 5-seated Terry.
So 110 was the original raise, and now the re-raise coming from Terry with his ace-queen. 350, 400,000, something like that, you think, Fred?
Sounds about right. Terry is a plumbing contractor from Huntsville, Arkansas. Robert rebuilds storage sheds for a living, gets paid by the shed.
350,000 is the re-raise. So 240K back to Robert.
And Robert is going to fold Queen 5, and Terry's going to draw first blood heads up here. Terry is the chip dog right now, but he keeps scraping little pots like this, and won't be long before this match is evened up.
20 and 40,000 with a 5K ante are the blinds in this heads-up battle. Terry with 8-5 offsuit.
Now that we're heads up, both of these players have a little more swagger in their chairs, both playing with a little more confidence.
Terry limps in. Robert checks with King 7 in the big blind. And another flop. Flop is Ace King 5.
Both players catch a piece of this flop. Robert's got second pair, Terry's got bottom pair.
Robert checks. Terry's betting 40,000.
Robert's got to like his hand here with a pair of kings.
Little different watching heads-up poker, especially watching heads-up poker with a couple of amateurs. Pros obviously love the fact that they can take advantage of amateurs at a table when they're heads up. But you have a couple of amateurs, probably not a lot of heads-up experience.
We see that a lot on the HPT. Not a lot of players have heads-up experience because most of the time when you're playing in the daily tournaments at your casino, they're going to chop 4 or 5-handed or more.
Well, Robert raises to 140,000. Action is back to Terry, and he calls the 100K, so we'll see a turn.
Big pot brewing here. Generally in heads-up, when you have a pair, it is good.
The turn is a 4.
And that's a scary 4. It's a spade. Puts a flush draw out there. Robert's still ahead with his pair of kings and first to act. And Robert's going to fire 175,000, about half the pot.
Back to Terry.
Terry's holding a pair of 5s. And that's all he's got.
Terry spent 20 years in the Arkansas National Guard. Persian Gulf veteran, and he is going to fold here. And so Robert holding on to that chip lead and taking a nice size pot. More heads-up poker as we continue from Downstream Casino in Oklahoma on the HPT. Downstream with a beautiful pool area. Really love their event center. And Fred, I can actually say you and I got involved in a biohazard incident here one time. Next time you see us, why don't you ask us about our incident at the Pai Gow table?
It was a fun night, that's for sure. Robert remains the chip leader with almost $4 million in chips. Terry not far behind. Blinds are 20 and 40,000 with a 5K ante. Robert will be on the button and first to act. He's going to limp in with 9-5 suited.
100,000 more.
It's a raise to a total.
And Terry wakes up with wired threes. He's going to raise it, makes it 140,000 to go, 100 for Robert to call. Wow, that was quick.
Very fast call from Robert. All right, let's see what happens on the flop. The flop is 8-6-3 rainbow.
Ding, fries are done. Terry's flopped a set of threes. Robert has a gut shot straight draw.
And really, Terry, nothing to be afraid of here. Even if he could see the whole cards that Robert had, he knows that he has nothing to be afraid of.
He's going to fire 100,000. And Robert is going to oblige, makes the call.
A little surprised at that call from Robert. Obviously hoping for a little help on the turn. Let's see if he gets it. He does. The turn is a 10 of hearts.
That does help Robert a little bit. Now he's picked up a flush draw. He's also double gutted, also known as a double belly buster straight draw. You can hit it in two ways, either with a 7 or a 4.
200.
So Terry flopped a set of threes, didn't have much to worry about on the flop, but now, Fred, maybe a couple of things to be nervous about heading into the river. Terry's going to bet 200,000.
Which is about half the pot. And look at this. Robert's going to raise it up. He's got a monster draw. And he's going to try to put the pressure on Terry.
He's going to raise it to 550,000.
So a total of 550. Raise to 550.
Terry maybe going to put this together on what exactly he could be up against. Is it a draw? Did he get there with a straight? Is he playing 7-9?
Terry weighing through his options.
You know, even at this point, if I saw Terry just move all in, I wouldn't even mind that.
Terry plans on using some of his prize money tonight to buy a new car. Will it be an Escalade or a Saturn?
1 million.
Yet to be determined.
It is a re-raise.
Nice play here by Terry. He's going to jack it again. Makes it 1 million chips to go. And that's going to make the draw think a little bit.
Been made by Robert.
Okay, maybe not too much.
Wow, the draw does call. So Robert, with his double belly buster straight draw and his flush draw, is going to see a river. Terry sitting on that set of threes. Here we go. A huge pot developing. The river is a 6 pairing the board.
Terry's got the boat and the best hand. Robert completely bricks, and he is not going to invest another chip into this pot.
Terry puts his last $1.195 million in, but he will not be getting a call.
You're right, Chris. He's not going to make the call, but the damage has been done. This pot is over $3.5 million in chips.
Well, Robert did ask for a count of the all-in from Terry, even though we know he's not going to call.
5 is the all-in.
I'm not sure really what the point is of Hollywooding here for Robert.
The winner of the hand is Terry.
And eventually Robert does fold, and so Terry is going to win a monster pot, and he is going to take over the chip lead in this heads-up battle.
Just like that, momentum can turn on one hand, and it is all Terry Presley right now.
Blinds are still 20 and 40,000 with that 5K ante. Remember that whoever wins tonight will also walk away with a seat at the year-end HPT Championship Open. Everyone who wins an event this year on the HPT will be coming to our Championship Open, free-rolling the event.
Terry limps in with connecting cards here, 7-8. And it looks like Robert is going to raise it up with my hand, Mom and Dad.
It's 140,000.
100,000 for Terry to call and see a flop. He does that very easily.
You know, I got to respect Robert. He says that he has a knack of halfway accomplishing all kinds of things in life. I think most guys could probably fall along that same line. The flop is Jack 7 King with a couple of hearts.
Both players hit the flop. Robert's got the best of it with top pair. Terry's got the pair of 7s for bottom pair.
200,000 is the bet from Robert. Terry still stacking chips from that last hand, considering whether or not he should put some of those back into the middle.
Interesting spot for Terry here. And Terry is going to fold, wait for a better spot. That's how you protect the chips, Chris.
And Robert is going to start the road back to taking back this chip lead in a heads-up battle that's worth $76,000 here tonight from Downstream Casino on the HPT.
Yeah, the prize money today, probably gonna wait till I get my taxes done because I know I have to pay in. So I'm gonna see how much that eats up, and then I'll probably go from there.
Well, actually, my wife's been looking at a new car, so this is going to come in a really good time for us.
You know, just once, Fred, I'd like to hear a player say, "I'm going to tip the commentators." It's been 8 years. No one has said that yet in the history of the HPT.
Not really known as a tipping job, my friend.
Well, a girl can dream, can he?
Yeah. Terry has the chip lead on that note. 86 big blinds in Terry's stack. Robert not too far behind, hoping to regain the chip lead.
I also just checked the statistics here, Fred. Nobody also has said I'm going to buy a boatload of Pez. So just, I'm just putting that out there. Lots of cars, trips, bills, and more tournament buy-ins, but no one's buying Pez or giving us tips.
You know, tips would be good. Pez not so much caring about.
I might take a Pez as a tip. Anyway, Terry calls with King 7 offsuit. Robert checks with 7-4 of clubs, so we'll see another flop. Flop is 10, Queen, Trey.
Both players miss this flop. Terry's got the best of it with King High.
Action's on Robert.
Robert doesn't care whether or not he missed this flop or not. He's going to bet, and Terry's going to fold. We're playing some poker now.
Robert's girlfriend actually convinced him to come play in this event. She's on the rail watching him play here at the final table.
There weren't two good ones in the rest of the 50.
Got to enjoy this new HPT structure. Blinds remain at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
Robert has the option. He checks.
Neither of these players worried about running out of ammo.
If you haven't seen our new structure, go online to hptpoker.com. We think you're going to like it. Here we go. The flop is deuce, ace, 4.
Robert gets the best of this. He flops a pair, also has a 1 ending draw, needs a 5 for the wheel. Terry has a gut shot straight draw. He's hoping for a 3.
Robert bets $60K over to Terry.
We got Robert, the deuce or the 4? Huh?
The reluctant call is made.
Calling, I guess, trying to pick something up from Robert is Terry. Let's see the turn. It's a jack. Go ahead, Robert.
Let's see if, well, Terry gets what he wants. Robert has slowed down, but Terry doesn't take advantage of it. He doesn't bet the turn here.
And here comes the river. It's another ace.
Robert's going to check. Let's see if Terry treats that ace of spades like a scare card and fires at this pot. You know, Chris, I'm no Joe Navarro. Thanks for not inserting a joke there. But I would call no matter what Terry bet here. His body language just screams, I got nothing.
The bet is 70,000 by Terry.
He is going to fire, though. Bet 70,000. Robert's got the best hand. Can he pull the trigger?
Let's see if Robert's going to make the call with just a lowly pair of 4s.
It is the best hand, though. Nice! He makes the call, and Terry's going to see that he just got caught.
Terry even says the deuce is good. Well, how about a 4? Is that any good?
4-3 is flipped over for.
You know, Fred, one of the funniest poker players you are ever going to meet hung out with us this weekend here at Downstream. James Larson caught up with professional poker player Gavin Smith.
All right, I'm now joined with a poker great. Well, at least he's got a great personality. Gavin Smith, welcome, my friend. You're supposed to shake my hand.
No, that felt like a shot, but that felt like a shot.
It wasn't a shot.
Poker great. At least he's actually got a great personality. That means, you know, like the girls have like a good personality. That means,
You'll have that. You'll have that. All right, so your first a trip with us here on the road, this HPT event. What was your experience like?
Well, I busted out of the tournament rather quickly. Well, not that quickly, but too quickly. And then I got stuck with you degenerates. I had a run-in with law enforcement. I had a few too many greyhounds. I lost money at blackjack. It was fantastic.
So what was your HPT experience like? Is this something you want to play more events with us and spend more time with us on the road?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm not really that thrilled to spend much more time with you, but I do enjoy the rest of the crew.
But you introduced me to a new drink, and I feel a lot better today.
See?
Instead of drinking beer, I had these greyhounds. They're very good.
Greyhounds are where it's at. It is clear that you can drink many of them and get up and perform at very, very high levels. So I mean, I do believe that
because you look like you didn't even go out last night.
I didn't go out basically because greyhounds. This doesn't happen. You're good.
What's all in a greyhound for the folks at home? Maybe we can get a vodka sponsorship out of this plug. Go ahead.
It's a vodka and grapefruit juice. You know, so it covers 2 of your major food groups. You know, you look after your fruits and your grains. So you know, it's good stuff.
Well, on behalf of the entire HPT, it was just a lot of fun having you here on the road. When I heard some of these stories about you, I had to actually live them myself. And, you know, it wasn't so bad. And today is our final table taping day, and we made it through the weekend. So that's the important part.
So we won, really.
Yeah, so I think we'll do it again.
Let's do it.
That's Gavin Smith, poker pro, and all-around good guy.
Did not have an opportunity to get Gavin out on the golf course this weekend while he was here. Although it probably saved me some money from what I hear as well.
He can hit them.
Ace Jack for Terry on the button and first act.
100.
100,000 is the bet. Blinds are still 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. So for the kids at home, that's a 2.5x raise.
Thanks, Fred. Queen 4 for Robert.
Robert's going to make the call.
All right, the flop is 3 Jack King.
Terry's got the best of it with middle pair. Robert has nothing right now.
100.
And it's another 100,000 coming from Terry. And a quick fold from Robert. Yin and yang with these two guys back and forth on the little pots. It's going to be who scoops the big ones that'll decide the next HPT champion.
Well, and with that structure that we talked about earlier, there are plenty of chips in front of both of these players. And so, Fred, we might be in a situation where it's going to take some very, very good cards, not just premium cards, to maybe get all these chips in the middle.
Or just action like this. Robert's going to raise it up with 6-4 to 110,000. And it's deuce 7 for Terry, the worst drawing hand in poker.
You know, I like the way Robert has been playing his button, making raises. There's nothing that annoys me more than watching people just limp in on the button. If it's worth putting in half the big blind, why not make a raise and take their big blind?
I agree with you 100%. And Terry doesn't look like he's buying what Robert's trying to sell.
Right.
Wow, he is going to raise it up with 7 deuce.
Okay, so I take back that stuff I was saying about very premium hands here. I only got 6-4 and 7 deuce battling it out. Terry makes it 400,000 with 7 deuce of hearts.
Now that's a raise right there, my friend.
I didn't hear if there was a 7 deuce prop bet that was called at the start of the final table.
Robert's going to lay it down, and Terry's going to scoop a nice raised pot here. Oh, but he doesn't show it.
Well, Fred, 7 deuce can be a very effective hand like aces, but the trick is you got to play them like aces, and Terry did right there. More poker when we come back to our final table. Welcome back to the HPT. I'm Chris Hansen. He's Fred Bevel. Time for our pro tip of the week, where we teach you at home a little bit more about the game. Now, luckily, it's not Fred and I giving you any tips. No, we go to the expert. 11-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, Phil Helmuth, tells us the right time to bluff.
When is the best time to bluff? When you can get away with it. This is why you watch the players, and by the time you're down to the final table, you have watched all of these players. You've heard all the stories of the hands they've won. This guy's at the final table because he got lucky on this hand. This guy's at the final table because he got lucky on that hand. This guy's at the final table because he played great. This guy I think is a great player, blah, blah, blah. It all adds up. There's a picture. There's an ongoing story of each player. So what you have to do, and you've seen him roll over big hands, you've seen him roll over bad hands. You know, take all of that experience you've accumulated over your lifetime and over the last couple of days of that tournament. And the best time to bluff is when you think you can get away with it. So a tight player might raise with 2 10s, and you sense a lot of apprehension. You might decide to move in with ace-4, thinking, okay, if I get called, I can always hit an ace, but I think he's going to fold before the flop. On the other hand, you might have a loose player raise with 10s and say, you know what, I better just fold ace-4. The best time to bluff, when you think you can get away with it.
Seen Phil a couple of times out on tour on the HPT already this year. Probably see more of him, but you can catch him every week here on the HPT with his pro tips. Terry's holding on to that chip lead, Fred, ever since he got it back in that big swing hand. Robert's been winning a lot of pots, but Terry doing a good job of keeping his stack right where it should be.
Well, the important number in that chip count graphic is the big blinds. Terry has 85 of them. Robert still with 70 big blinds. Both these guys are deep.
9-10 offsuit for Terry.
100.
Easy, Terry.
Raise, make it 125. Just do it. Okay, he's going to make it 100,000. Here we go. Now we're getting some chips in the middle. Robert makes the call with king deuce off.
Neither of these guys fans of folding pre-flop.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, here we go. The flop is deuce, ace, 7, couple of clubs.
Well, Robert picks up a pair of deuces.
150 is the bet by Terry.
He checks over to Terry. Terry's going to fire 150,000.
After a check by Rob.
Looks like Robert is going to check call the flop.
Robert makes the call.
And so now let's check out the turn. And Fred, I'm going to go out and say pay no attention to the king deuce and the 9-10. It's now all about the betting here on the turn in the river. Robert's first to act as a jack of clubs comes on the turn.
Robert checks. Over to Terry.
Both players check through the turn.
Bet first and take it down. That's the way this hand's going to play out. And the river is another jack.
Once again, we start with Robert.
Robert's first to go.
Robert has the best hand right now. He's checked it all the way. He's going to check it again, hoping Terry checks behind.
200K.
But 200,000 is the bet from Terry. And a call from Robert.
With just a pair of ducks, Robert is going to look Terry up, and he's going to find he's got the best of it.
Now, that's twice in this heads-up battle where a bet has been fired by Terry on the river. I'm not sure what it might be, but I think Robert has picked up on something, and he just knew he was good in that situation.
Good for Robert. Woo. Stacks much needed. Blinds remain at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
Also, might add, he was getting pretty good value on his money there on the river, calling the 200,000.
Picks up a pair of wired 9s here on the button, and he's going to fire 140,000 at it.
Raises to 140.
King queen for Terry, expecting a raise.
Call.
No, just a call from Terry.
What is that anyway? Okay,
Robert
100.
raises to 140, and Terry makes the call.
So a race on our hands as we go to the flop. Keep in mind, first place tonight, $76,000 in cash. Terry's checking in the dark. The flop is 3 ace jack with a couple of diamonds.
And Robert quickly checks behind.
Now let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
So here's the turn. It's a deuce.
And this is a good chance for Terry to take the lead in betting here, maybe even steal this pot. But he elects to check. Robert going to go ahead and check behind. Both these players tiptoeing around each other right now.
And the river is a queen, and all that checking just got Robert into trouble.
Yeah, Robert checked himself into a loser here. Let's see if Terry can get some value with the queen.
It was a third diamond on the board, but Terry is going to bet $150,000 over to Robert. He's already called 2 river bets from Terry in this heads-up match, and he was right both times. This time if he calls, he's going to be wrong.
I call.
He does make the call, and he is going to lose that $150,000 in chips and the $590,000 chip pot.
Probably going to be kicking himself as well, saying, yeah, I should have bet that flop or turn. Either one would have taken it down. But in the end, it's going to be Terry who wins this pot and is one step closer to his first HPT championship.
5-4 is the holding here for Robert on the button. He's going to limp in. One of the few times we've seen Robert limp heads up here on the button.
Terry will check with 5-3 offsuit. And the flop, 6-4-10.
Good flop for Terry. He's flopped the open-ended straight draw. Robert's got a pair of 4s here.
Go ahead, Terry.
He's going to fire 60,000 on his draw.
50, 60,
Over to Robert.
is the bet by Terry, 60,000.
And Robert's going to go ahead and make the call with his pair of 4s.
And the turn is a deuce for 44-year-old Terry Presley. He just made his hand.
That's the best deuce he has ever seen. Gives Terry the straight. And let's see if he can get paid with it. Pot is sitting at 210,000 now. What's a good size bet for you?
Probably exactly what he just bet, 100,000, about half the pot. Over to Robert. You don't want to scare him away, but you want to keep him interested.
Well, luckily for Terry, Robert does have a piece of this. And he's also picked up a gut shot straight draw with that deuce on the turn. He'll be hoping for a 3.
Oddly enough, that was my same principle getting a date for the prom when I was in school. Don't scare him away, just keep him interested. The river pairs the board with a 6.
No help for Robert on that river. Terry's got the best hand, but Robert does have a piece of this. Let's see if he'll pay him off.
Terry's first to act, and I'm guessing he's going to be betting.
You think?
All right, Robert, you're 2 for 1 so far against him calling on the river. What do you want to do here?
Unfortunate thing about just calling everybody's bets is you never really get much information on them, and you end up paying them off on the river here like Robert is about to do.
Law of averages says half the time you're right, half the time you're wrong. That's exactly where Robert's at right now, but unfortunately, the chips are moving in the wrong direction if you are Robert. More poker when we come back. Both Robert and Terry held the chip lead for most of this final table, and now it's these two battling it out for $76,000. And Fred, I know that there's a $30,000 difference between first and second, but not much of a big difference between their chip stacks.
Terry enjoying just under a million chip lead, but Chris, 6 million chips in play. We know, we've seen it before. The momentum can swing on any hand here. Action on this hand is going to start with Terry.
7-4 offsuit. Terry's going to call. Over to Robert.
Robert's going to check his option with ace-10. A little cagey. They've been raising and re-raising each other here.
Flop is 3-6-4, rainbow.
Terry gets the best of this. He flops a pair of 4s.
Robert checks. Terry's betting 60,000.
I don't see Robert going anywhere on the flop with the 2 overcards here. He is going to announce a raise. Maybe picking the wrong street to get aggressive here. Maybe should have done this pre-flop.
225.
Woo, he's going to jack it huge. Makes it 225 to go.
165 for Terry to call.
Now a raise has been announced by Robert, and he's going to raise the total of 225. The total of 225 is the raise.
And if you're Terry, you're thinking, okay, what exactly did I just walk into? Either he's got a monster or he's got absolutely nothing. I don't think there's any middle ground with a flop like that. Although when you are playing, blind versus blind and your head's up, things change, obviously. But the blind versus blind, you could have his hand 7-4 versus deuce-5 right now.
Who knows? He is going to make the call.
The turn is a jack, and so Robert's first act. Let's see if he wants to fire here on the turn.
Robert can try to push him off here with a big bet on the turn. I'm guessing if he checks, he's going to get the free river card.
400,000.
He is going to choose the aggressive road. He's going to bet 400,000.
Bet by Robert, 400. We're over to Terry.
Call.
Terry's glasses must be X-ray. He is looking right into Robert here. Makes a huge call on the turn.
Oh, this is easily our biggest heads-up pot. Here comes the river. It is another 4. Terry making trip 4s on the river. Robert's first to act.
Well, Robert got himself in trouble on the flop, got himself into more trouble on the turn. Let's hope he can avoid disaster on the river.
Terry is the chip leader at this final table, so Robert's playing from behind, and he's betting again on the river. It's $750K.
Dead money going into the middle of the pot here. This is going to be a huge dent into Robert's chip stack. I guarantee he's not going to put any more in if he gets raised here. but the damage is done.
And Terry makes the call, and he is going to see that Robert has ace high. Trip fours is going to win this hand for Terry, and Fred, that could be a big swing hand in this heads-up battle.
Well, at the start of this hand, Terry had the chip lead by just under $1 million in chips. That was well over a $2 million chip pot. He is definitely in the driver's seat now.
Blinds have gone up. They are 25 and 50,000 with a 5K ante.
Robert's going to limp in with connecting cards. And Terry's going to raise it up with King Jack. Quick call by Robert.
Well, here's the problem sometimes when you get heads up. Hands like 6, 7 look like hands you maybe want to try to play heads up. Problem is they're not very good cards, and you can end up throwing a lot of chips away. Flop is 9, 8, 9 with a couple of clubs, but then you get a flop like that, Fred, and all make 6, 7 look better.
Robert flops a great draw, the open ender. Terry's still got the 2 overcards, but you're right, 6-7 is not a hand you want to be limping calling with. That's a hand you want to be raising with if you're going to play it heads up.
And Robert decides to put his tournament life on the line on that draw and goes all in.
Good play by Robert here. He's going to shut the hand down. No way Terry can call without a pair.
Terry is going to fold, and rather than possibly double Robert up, it was less than $1 million chips to make that call. He's going to wait for a better spot. As we play for the $76,000 championship here tonight at Downstream Casino Resort.
Blinds continuing on at 25 and 50,000 with a 5K ante. This time Robert first to act. Ace-9 offsuit.
Robert considers poker nothing but a recreational hobby. Yeah, you can't make $76,000 building model airplanes. That's why you want to have your hobby be poker, kids. Robert limps in with ace-9 offsuit. Terry makes it $100,000. Now back to Robert.
And Robert's been limp calling from the button this entire heads-up match. I can't imagine he's going to lay it down here. Looks like he might be thinking of a raise.
350,000.
He is indeed. He's going to repop it here. 350,000 is the bet. 250 to go for Terry. He makes the quick call.
And just like that, before another card hits the table, we've got almost $1 million chips in the pot. The flop is 7, 5, 10.
Robert quickly all in on nothing but ace high. Good for him. Terry's on nothing but ace high. And Terry way behind if he makes this call. Two hands in a row. We've seen Robert just get it all in on the flop to shut the hand down. Last hand, he was semi-bluffing. This hand, just a stone-cold bluff.
More heads up when we come back to Downstream on the HPT. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. Interesting area where Downstream is at. Really, you could take a golf ball and hit it into like 5 different states from where we're at. Right up here in the corner of Oklahoma.
Terry has a commanding chip lead with 75% of the chips in play. Robert, with just over 1.5 million, still has 31 big blinds in his stack, so nothing to panic about yet, but definitely wants to see a momentum shift here pretty quick.
Ace-10 for Terry on the button. Terry Presley, again from Huntsville, Arkansas.
Terry going to make it $150,000 to go. And Robert is going to go all in with wired 4s.
Well, Robert has decided it's going to be my move, I think, until I get what I want, and that's to double up. Robert has now moved all in with $1.4 million in chips.
Well, the last few hands, ever since losing that big swing hand to Terry, he has really stepped up his aggression.
This the one?
What's that?
Is this the one right here?
Could be.
I don't know if Robert looks like a guy who wants a call or doesn't want a call there.
That last little bit we saw looks like he does not want a call there. He put his hands on his chin and then kind of gave himself a little hug.
Well, Terry is going to lay it down again, and the all-in move has been working for Robert, just picking up small pot after small pot here at this final table. $76,000 going to our champion tonight. Third place, about $34,000 less than that. Jack 9 for Robert on the button.
For 120,000.
Going to make it 120,000.
350.
Terry going to make it 350,000 now with Queen Jack. Robert with Jack 9 has 230,000 to call to see a flop, and he makes the call.
Wow, and just like that, Robert has about a third of his stack in the middle. And here comes the flop. It's 6-7-5 with 2 spades.
Robert flops a gut shot straight draw. Terry's first to act here.
500,000.
He's going to make it $500,000 to go.
500.
And that bet pretty much is going to put Robert all in here if he decides to continue with the hand.
Here we go, Robert.
This heads-up battle, Fred, started with not a lot of action, but the last 5 hands have all been action-packed.
Call has been made.
Robert
boy.
just calling off $500,000 in chips here. He has a gut shot straight draw and 3 outs with the 9, but that's it. His jack is dead.
And here comes the turn. It is a queen, and Terry now has a hammer lock on this hand.
Does he ever? Now he hits top pair. Robert will be down to just an 8 if he can't get away here.
Terry bets 1 million chips, and Fred, for these amateur players, there's not a lot of times in their home games where they get to bet 1 million in chips. It just sounds big.
Oh, and Robert wishes he could get in a time machine right now and go back to pre-flop. He has kind of just called himself into a lot of trouble here. Now he's looking at almost 3-1 to call with a gut shot straight draw.
Head firmly in the hands, wondering what the heck just happened, and angrily folds. It's a tough spot, Fred, for a guy who is the chip leader so much of this final table. You start to think, why can't I get some of that back? It was going so good for so long.
Well, Robert still has some chirping chips. He's not out of this yet, but I'm sure he'd love to have that hand back. And he is going to go all in here with Jack Deuce.
And a call from Terry with Ace Queen.
Jack 2 going up against Ace Queen.
Terry's got the lead going into the flop. Robert with 2 live cards. We're racing for the next HPT championship.
And here we go. The flop is 9-5-5. Robert still with 2 live cards going to the turn.
Robert hoping to get lucky here with a jack or a deuce.
And the turn is a 3 of spades. And so now it's 1 of 2 cards, looking for either a jack or a deuce, or Terry's our newest HPT champion. And the river is another 3. That's going to do it. Ace Queen is going to hold up, and Terry Presley takes down the 76K here at Downstream.
Good game.
What a heads-up battle. A lot of hands between these 2 players, but in the end, Fred, it was Terry who is our newest HPT champion.
And what a day for Robert Bratton. It's going to be a day he is going to remember for the rest of his life. He played great. He's going home with a little over $45,000. He's down on the floor right now. Let's hear what he has to say about his HPT experience.
Yeah, I'm glad to have made it. That's you know, it's just poker. I've been there in other situations, not for this much money, but I mean it's not a whole lot different actually. In truth, you know, there's cameras and everything, and that's why I wanted to wear my headphones to start, because I just wanted to play poker. I didn't want to, you know, I'm glad it's going to be on TV. It's going to be cool to show my friends, but I just wanted to play poker when it came down to playing.
All right, Robert, thank you very much for playing the HPT. And Fred, Terry earlier on in this final table spiked a jack on the river for a big suck out. And ever since then, he was non-stop to win this championship. And Fred, he did it. He goes home with the title.
Yeah, and Terry played a great game as well. You need a little luck to win a tournament.
Absolutely.
But he also picked the right times to make his moves. And to the victor go the spoil, a little over $77,000 to the plumber from Arkansas. I think he's going to enjoy this payday for a long, long time.
All right, let's hear what Terry has to say about his championship run.
You know, we already was looking at cars. My wife's looking at cars, so I'm sure she's, I'm sure she has plans for this money, I'm sure. So that's great, you guys. It's, really nice. But for me, it's just the thrill of playing and the money. I mean, the money's great and it's awesome, and I mean, I love it. But just playing poker, I just love it. It's just a passion. I mean, I can't explain, how much I love it. So.
Well, Fred, event 99 is in the books for the HPT. Congratulations to Terry Presley, our newest HPT champion. Next week, on to event number 100. Unbelievable. We will be in St. Louis. Can't wait to see you under the arch next week. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to win the big money at our final table? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time, right here on the HPT.